Hi, since many of you have already worked on this web page assets file, I want to zoom in to my title here and show you a couple of tricks with the text tool. And I know the text tool is a little difficult only in this sense. If you click the text tool and you put it inside like this piece of text here, yes, I could add a space there or take away a space. Yes, I can actually hold Alt or Option, okay, and use the left arrow or the right arrow to slightly open up that space. So that's Alt or Option, what's called range kerning or independent kerning. Okay, so you can see that if a letter like the S and the A are too far apart, I'm going to hold Alt and left arrow and scoot that in a little bit. Okay, now here is a great way to know, and I didn't finish my sentence because I want to say this. If you're in the text tool and you decide to hit a quick key, like if the cursor is flashing right there and you want the move tool, if you hit the V key, you're just going to put a V in there, right? So it is really one of the only ways that you can get out of the text tool and not have that happen, because you can't use quick keys with the cursor flashing in a line of text, right? So you kind of have to manually click the move tool. Or that's why Photoshop actually put this check mark up here. You see the check mark in the options? When you're in the text tool and you're happy with a piece of text, click the check mark. It will deselect the text. Then you could hit the V key or any key you want. Now, I want to stay in the move tool because that is an incredible way, and I'm going to remove first this faux F-A-U-X big capital, small capital thing here. I'm just going to remove it like this because I want you to see a very cool way. I know I showed this in the tutorial, but if you want to experiment with other font faces or type faces, I'm going to back off a little bit, but stay in the text tool. Stay in the move tool. Do not highlight the text. Just highlight the name and make sure you are selected onto the layer that is the text. So make sure you're on this layer, Brian, and I am. Make sure you've highlighted the text in the character palette, and now if you use the up and down arrows, you can experiment with different typefaces. So see how I can definitely see without having to go like this. I don't feel like going like this and then manually seeing what some of these are. Okay, so Photoshop gave you the option of staying in something like this. Let me click away from that. Highlighting the name and using the down arrow or the up arrow to go back and find the font you like, which mine was a ATC Tradewinds, but I just won't save this file. Now, the other thing that I definitely want to show you is Photoshop allowed for you to be in the move tool, and watch this. I'm going to hold my mouse or the cursor over this big T and little t in the character palette. Do you see it? Now I'm going to click the left mouse button and I'm going to drag left and right, and it lets you change the point size manually without having to go to this list right here and choose a font size, or dragging across and choosing a font size like that. Okay, so again, hold your cursor over the big T and the little t and just drag to the left and right. And that holds true for all of these little icons. Watch how I could take this here. This is the range kerning, is called setting the tracking, the overall tracking for all the letters. Look at how you could hold your left mouse button over that and drag, and you see how you could open up the letters if you wanted a longer look to your line of text. So I'm going to just not save this, and I'm going to put this back on ATC Tradewinds by just dragging across. and going back down to ATC Tradewinds. So there it is right there. And I'll click the faux style so I have my caps back, okay? And I just won't save it. I just don't remember exactly what the size of my text was. So I'll just go like that. Well, that was too big. So hey, I'm going to hold the left mouse button and drag until that looks good, and I'm going to leave it right there, which was 12 points. Now, I want to show you something very cool with the background. Okay, so I want to take this pattern overlay, which I'm turning off, which I changed for a student to show how to quickly go to the internet to get a new image for the background and then to have it put in as a define, D-E-F-I-N-E, define pattern. So I used, and I'll get close to this, I used a Mustang, okay? But what if I wanted something like an American flag? Okay, for whatever reason, I'm patriotic this week, I guess, and I just want to click to Firefox, and I'll show you that I Googled American flag waving images. And at the end of this, I want you all to write down, where you won't lose it, a really cool website for getting vector. That's, Photoshop is raster, Illustrator is vector, which means clean lines, which means it's built on geometry, not pixels, okay? And I want to show you something called Brands of the World, but let me get to this first. So I'm going to scroll down and find an American flag like this. Then I'm going to scroll down, and I just want something as simple as this. So I'm going to right-hand click over here, and I'm going to save the image to my desktop. I'll just call this flag. And it's going to come in as a JPEG image. And then I'm going to just minimize this, and I'm going to open that image. So let me go to click on Photoshop and just go to open. And I'm going to go the long way to open my new flag image on the desktop. Okay, so there's the desktop, there's the flag image. I'm going to double click. It can be done this fast. Okay, so it's opening now. And I don't want, I have to tell you, that when the image comes in, I like the space left to right, but I'm even going to increase it. So I want you to see how I'm going to do this, okay? So I want more space left and right. I'm not going to shrink the flag. It's actually 13 inches, almost 14 inches wide, and I don't need the artwork that big. So I should first go, I'm sorry for all this information, but I'm going to go to image size. Now, image size is going to change the overall document. So I'm going to make this only about 7 inches wide, just to make it smaller, and 150 ppi. Okay, so now I've made it a little bit more reasonable in size. But now, look at this. I'm going to go to canvas size. I'm going to increase the width to 8.5 inches. But I'm going to decrease the height. And I want to make it more like 5 inches. I think that'll be good. And then I'm going to click OK. Now, it's going to say I'm going to clip some stuff, but I want to proceed. Now, I actually want to use the canvas size and make it a little bit bigger on the top. Now, I want you to see something very cool. I like the left side, the bottom side, and the right side, but watch this. I'm going to go to canvas size, and I'm going to show you what this icon is for. So I'm going to click down here because I only want it to grow from the bottom up. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to further increase this dimension here. I want to increase this dimension here. So I'm going to put the height at 6 inches. And let's see what I get. And now you can see how it actually grew. I should have gone 5.5 inches. So I'm going to take the crop tool and I'm going to hold the shift key as I grab this, and I'm just going to move it down. I guess I don't have to hold the shift key. In the transform tool you do. But now look, I took away, it looks pretty even all the way around, right? Okay, cool. Now, the reason why I wanted to show you all this is because I didn't go through these things in the first tutorial pretty much. Okay, so now I hit Control A or Command A to select all. That's right there. It's select all. Now I'm going to go to Edit and Define Pattern. And I'll just call this flag. And I'm going to say OK. Now I'll leave it open, but I'm going to go to my other open file. I can get there by going to Window and down to here, Or if I don't feel like going to this long menu to go down to here, I can hold Command or Control and hit the key above the Tab key, which is the tilde key. So look at the Tab key on your keyboard. Look at the key above it. It's actually called the tilde key, and I'm going to go Command tilde or Control tilde to go to this file. Now, let's go change the Mustang for the American flag. So what we're going to do is double-click Pattern Overlay right there, and here's the Mustang. Now I'm going to click and I have the American flag. So now I'm going to move this over and I'm going to scale up the American flag so it's bigger on the screen, about that much right there. And now I have a new piece of artwork. Remember that because there was a white background in the JPEG, do you remember? Well, if you change the mode from normal, which the white background would then show up, see? We have to go to a transparent mode, which is multiply, so the other stuff comes through. All right, and that's pretty cool. So I'm going to say OK, and there is my new very patriotic Storyal portfolio with American flags. And remember, if you want less space between the American flags, okay, the only way you can do it is this way. So I'll show you this. You're done pretty much with this tutorial, but I want to show you how I can edit this. Okay, so I go to Window, remember Command tilde or Control tilde, back to flag, right? I'm going to hit the crop tool, and I want to just sneak a little bit of this away, but not on the top and bottom. So I'm going to call this flag 2. So now, how do we do this? Select all, right? So it's all has a marquee around it. Let me move it up here. And let's go to Define Pattern. And now let's call this flag 2. I don't even need the name JPEG in there, just flag 2. Now let's hit Command or Control tilde, which is the key above the Tab key. Double click the pattern overlay, right? And now look in here how I have a second American flag. And as soon as I click it, let me move this over, you're going to see the flags get closer. And that is how we actually edit things. So now the flags are closer together. And I kind of like that better. Okay, so I'm going to hit Command S or Control S to save, and that's the end of my tutorial. I'm in the C key for the crop tool. I'll hit the V key for the move tool, so that just goes away. And I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial. Thank you.